The havamal, the words of Odin, the High One. Translation by Olive Bray. Chapter 1. Wisdom for Wanderers and Counsel for Guest. At every doorway, ere one enters, one should spy round, one should pry round, for uncertain is the witting that there be no foreman sitting within before one on the floor. Hail, ye givers, a guest is come. Say, where shall he sit within? Much pressed is he who fain on the hearth would seek for warmth and will. He have need of fire, who now is come, numbed with cold to the knee. Food and clothing the wanderer craves, who has fared o'er the rimy fell. He craves for water, who comes for refreshment, drying and friendly, bidding marks of goodwill. Fair fame, if 'tis won, and welcome once again. He have need of his wits, who wanders wide. Aught simple will serve at home, but a gazing stock is the fool who sits mid the wise and nothing knows. Let no man glory in the greatness of his mind, but rather keep watch o'er his wits. Cautious and silent, let him enter a dwelling. To the heedful comes seldom harm, for none can find a more faithful friend than the will of Mother Wit. Let the wary stranger who seeks refreshment keep silent with sharpened hearing. With his ears let him listen, and look with his eyes. Thus each wise man spies out the way. Happy is he who wins for himself fair fame and kindly words, but uneasy is that which a man doth own, while it lies in another's breast. A better burden can no man bear on the way than his mother's wit. 'Tis the refuge of the poor and richer. It seems then wealth in a world untried. Less good than they say for the sons of men is the drinking oft of ale. For the more they drink, the less can they think, and keep a watch o'er their wits. A better burden can no man bear on the way than his mother's wit, and no worse provision can he carry with him than too deep a draught of ale. A bird of unmindfulness flutters o'er ale, feast willing away men's wits. With feathers of that fowl I was fettered once in the gaffs of gunless below. Drunk was I then, I was overdrunk in that crafty Yolton's court. But best is an ale feast when man is able to call back his wits at once. Silent and thoughtful, and bold in strife, the prince's baron should be. Joyous and generous, let each man show him, until he shall suffer death. A coward believes he will ever live, if he keeps him safe from strife. But old age leaves him not long in peace, though spears may spare his life. A fool will gape when he goes to a friend, a mumble only or mope, but pass him the ale cup, and all in a moment the mind of that man is shown. He knows alone who has wandered wide and far, has fared on the way, what manner of mind a man doth own, who is wise of heed and heart. Keep not the mead cup, but drink thy measure. Speak needful words or none. None shall upbraid thee for lack of breeding, if soon thou seekest thy rest. A greedy man, if he be not mindful, eats to his own life's hurt. Oft the belly of the fool will bring him to scorn, when he seeks the circle of wise. Herds know the hour of their going home, and turn them again from the grass. But never is found a foolish man who knows the measure of his moor. The miserable man and evil-minded makes of all things mockery, and knows not that which he best should know, that he is not free from faults. The unwise man is awake all night, and ponders everything over when morning comes. He is weary in mind, and all is a burden as ever. The unwise man weans all who smile and flatter him are his friends, nor notes how oft they speak him ill when he sits in the circle of the wise. The unwise man weans all who smile and flatter him are all his friends, but when he shall come into court, he shall find there are few to defend his cause. The unwise man thinks all to know while he sits in sheltered nook, but he knows not one thing, what he shall answer if men shall put him to proof. For the unwise man, 'tis best to be mute when he come amid the crowd, for none is aware of his lack of wit. If he wastes not too many words, for he who lacks wit shall never learn, though his words flow near so fast. Wise he is deemed, who can question well, and also answer back. The sons of men can no secret make of tidings told in their midst. Too many unstable words are spoken by him who near holds his peace. The hasty tongues sings its own mishap, if it be not bridled in. Let no man be held as a laughingstock, though he come as guest for a meal. Wise enough seem many while they sit dry-skinned, and are not put to proof. A guest thinks him witty, who mocks at a guest, and runs from his wrath away, but none can be sure who jest at a meal that he makes not fun among foes. Oft, though their hearts lean towards one another, friends are divided at table ever, the source of strife. To will be that guest, will anger guest. A man should take always his meals betimes, unless he visit a friend, or he sits and mopes, and half famished seems, and can ask or answer naught. Long is the round to a false friend, leading in if he dwell on the way. But though far off fared to a faithful friend, straight are the roads and short. A guest must depart again on his way, nor stay in the same place ever, if he bide too long on another's bench. The loved ones soon become loathed. One's own house is best, though small it may be. Each man is master at home, though he have but 2 goats and a bark-thatched hut. 'Tis better than craving a boon. One's own house is best, though small it may be. Each man is master at home. With a bleeding heart will he beg, who must, his meat at every meal. Let a man never stir on his rod a step without his weapons of war, for unsure is the knowing when need shall arise of a spear on the way without. I found none so noble or free with his food, who was not gladdened with a gift, nor one who gave of his gifts such store, but he loved reward could he win it. Let no man stint him and suffer need of the wealth he has won in life. Oft is saved for a foe what was meant for a friend, and much goes worse than one weens. With raiment and arms shall friends gladden each other. So has one proved oneself, for friends last longest. If fate be fair, who give and give again. To a friend, a man should bear him as a friend, and gift for gift bestow laughter for laughter. Let him exchange but leasing pay for a lie. To his friend, a man should bear him as a friend. To him a friend of his, but let him be aware that he be not the friend of one who is friend to his foe. Hast thou a friend whom thou trusted well, from whom thou cravest good? Share thy mind with him, gifts exchange with him, fair to find him oft. But hast thou one whom thou trusted ill, yet from whom thou cravest good? Thou shalt speak him fair, but falsely think, and leasing pay for a lie. Yet further of him whom thou trusted ill, and whose mind thou dost misdoubt, thou shalt laugh with him, but withhold thy thoughts, for gift with like gift should be paid. Young was I once, I walked alone, and bewildered seemed in the way. Then I found me another, and rich I thought me, for man is the joy of man. Most blessed is he who lives free and bold, and nurses never a grief. For the fearful man is dismayed by aught, and the mean one mourns over giving. My garments once I gave in the field, the two landmarks made as men, heroes they seemed. When once they were clothed, 'tis the naked who suffer shame. The pine tree waste which is perched on the hill, nor bark nor needles shelter it. Such is the man whom none doth love, for what should he longer live? Fiercer than fire among ill friends, for 5 days love will burn, but anon 'tis quenched, when the 6th day comes, and all friendship soon is spoiled. Not great things alone must one give to another, praised oft is earned for naught. With half a loaf and a tilted bowl, I have found me many a friend. Little the sand, if little the seas, little are minds of men, for near in the world where all equally wise, 'tis shared by the fools and the sage. Wise in measure, let each man be, but let him not wax too wise, for never the happiest of men is he who knows much of many things. Wise in measure should each man be, but let him not wax too wise. Seldom a heart will sing with joy, if the owner be all too wise. Wise in measure should each man be, but ne'er let him wax too wise. Who looks not forward to learn his fate, unburdened heart will bear. Brand kindles from brand until it be burned. Spark is kindled from spark. Man unfolds him by speech. With man but grows over secret through silence. He must rise, be times who fain of another, or life or wealth would win. Scarce falls the prey to sleeping wolves, or to slumberers victory in strife. He must be times who have few to serve him, and see to his work himself. Who sleeps at morning is hindered much. To the keen is wealth half won. Of dry logs, saved, and roof bark stored, a man can know the measure of firewood, to which should last him out quarter and half years to come. Fed and washed should one ride to court, though in garments none too new. Thou shalt not shame thee for shoes or breeks, nor yet a sorry steed. Like an eagle swooping over old ocean, snatching after his prey, so comes a man into court who finds there are few to defend his cause. Each man who is wise, and would wise be called, must ask and answer aright. Let one know thy secret, but never a second. If 3, 1,000 shall know. A wise counselled man will be mild in bearing, and use his might in measure, lest when he come his fierce foes, among he finds others fiercer than he. Each man should be watchful and wary in speech, and slow to put faith in a friend. For the words which one to another speaks, he may win reward of ill. At many a feast I was far too late, and much too soon at some. Drunk was the ale, or yet unserved. Never hits he the joint who is hated. Here and there to a home I had happily been, asked had I needed no meat at my meals, or where 2 hams left hanging in the house of that friend where I had partaken of one. Most dear is fire to the sons of men, most sweet the sight of the sun. Good is health, if one can but keep it, and to live a life without shame. Not reft of all is he who is ill, for some are blessed in their barrens, some in their kin, and some in their wealth, and some in working well. More blessed are the living than the lifeless. 'Tis the living who come by the cow. I saw the half fire burn in the rich man's hall, and himself lying dead at the door. The lame can ride horse, the handless drive cattle. The deaf one can fight and prevail. 'Tis happier for the blind than for him on the bale fire. But no man hath care for a corpse. Best have a son, though he be late born, and before him the father be dead. Seldom are stones on the wayside raised, save by kinsman to kinsman. Two are host against one. The tongue is the head's bane. 'neath a rough hide a hand may be hid. He is glad at nightfall, who knows of his lodging short. Is the ship's berth unchangeful? The autumn night much veers the wind ere the 5th day, and blows round yet more in a month. He that learns naught will never know how one is the fool of another. For if one be rich, another is poor, and for that should bear no blame. Cattle die, and kinsmen die, thyself too soon must die. But one thing never, I ween, will die, fair fame of one who has earned. Cattle die, and kinsmen die, thyself too soon must die. But one thing never, I ween, will die, the doom on each one dead. Full stocked folds had the fatling's sons, who bear now a beggar's staff. Brief is wealth, as the winking of an eye, most faithless ever of friends. If happily a fool should find for himself wealth, or a woman's love, pride waste in him, but wisdom never, and onward he fares in his folly. All will prove true that thou askest of runes, those that are come from the gods, which the high powers wrought, and which Odin painted, then silence is surely best. Chapter 2. Maxims for all men. Praise day at even. A wife when dead, a weapon when tried, a maid when married, ice when 'tis crossed, and ale when 'tis drunk. Hew wood in wind, sail the seas in a breeze, woo a maiden in the dark, for day's eyes are many. Work a ship for its gliding, a shield for its shelter, a sword for its striking, a maid for her kiss. Drink ale by the fire, but slide on the ice. Buy a steed when 'tis lanky, a sword when 'tis rusty. Feed thy horse 'neath a roof, and thy hound in the yard. The speech of a maiden should no man trust, nor the words which a woman says, for their hearts were shaped on a whirling wheel, and falsehoods fixed in their breast. Breaking bow or flaring flame, ravening wolf or croaking raven, routing swine or rootless tree, waxing wave or seething cauldron, flying arrows or falling billow, ice of night time, coiling adder, woman's bed talk or broken blade, play of bears or prince's child, sickly calf or self-willed thrall, witch's flattery, new slain foe, brother's slayer, those seen on the highway, half-burned house or horse, too swift be never so trustful as these to trust. Let none put faith in the first sown fruit, nor yet in his son too soon. Whim rules the child, and weather the field. Each is open to chance. Like the love of woman, whose thoughts are lies in the driving unroused o'er slippery ice of a 2-year-old, ill-tamed and gay, or in a wild, steering a helmless ship, or the lane catching reindeer in the rim-thawed fell. Chapter 3. Lessons for Lovers. Now plainly I speak, since both I have seen unfaithful is man to maid. We speak them fairest when thoughts are fairest, and while the wisest of hearts. Let him speak soft words and offer wealth, who longs for a woman's love. Praise the shape of the shining maid. He wins who thus doth woo. Never a whit should one blame another, whom love hath brought into bonds. Oft a witching form will fetch the wise, which holds not the heart of fools. Never a witch should one blame another for folly, which many be fools. The might of love makes sons of men into fools, who once were wise. The maid knows alone what is nearest the heart, and sees where the soul is turned. No sickness seems to the wise so sore as in naught to know content. Chapter 4. Odin's Love Quest. This once I felt when I sat without in the reeds and looked for my love. Body and soul of me was that sweet maiden, yet never I won her as wife. Billing's daughter I found on her bed, fairer than sunlight, sleeping, and the sweets of lordship seemed to me naught, save I lived with that lovely form. Yet nearer evening, come thou, Odin, if thou wilt, woo a maiden, all were undone, save two knew alone such a secret deed of shame. So away I turned from my wise intent, and deemed my joy assured, for all her liking and all her love I weened that yet should win. When I came ere long the war, troop bold were watching and waking, all with burning brands and torches borne, they showed me my sorrowful way. Yet nearer morning I went once more. The housefolk slept in the hall, but soon I found a barking dog tied fast to that fair maiden's couch. Many a sweet maiden, when one knows her mind, is fickle, found towards men. I proved it well, when that prudent lass I sought to lead astray. Shrewd maid she sought me with every insult, and I won therewith no wife. Chapter 5. Odin's quest after the song mead. In thy home be joyous and generous to guest. Discreet shalt thou be in thy bearing. Mindful and talkative wouldst thou gain wisdom, oft making me mention of good. He is simpleton, named who has naught to say, for such is the fashion of fools. I saw old Jotun, now safe am I back. Little served my silence, there but whispering many soft speeches. I won my desire in Sutton's hall. I bored me a road there with Rattus, tusk, and made room to pass through the rock, while the ways of Jotun stretched over and under. I dared my life for a draught. 'Twas Gunlod who gave me on a golden throne a draught of the glorious mead, but with poor reward did I pay her back for her true and troubled heart. In a willy disguise I worked my will. Little is lacking to the wise for the soul stirrer. Now sweet mead of song is brought to men's earthly abode. I misdoubt me, if ever again I had come from the realms of Jotun race, had I not served me of Gunlod, sweet woman, her whom I held in mine arms. Came forth next day the dread frost giants, and entered the High One's hall. They asked, was the bale worker back mid the powers, or had Sutton slain him below? A ring oath Odin, I trow, had taken. How shall one trust his Thorth? 'Twas was he who stole the mead from Sutton, and Gunlod caused to weep. Chapter 6. The Counselling of the Stray Singer. 'Tis time to speak from the sage's seat. Hard by the well of Weird I saw and was silent. I saw and pondered. I listened to the speech of men. Of runes they spoke, and the reading of runes was little withheld from their lips at the High One's hall. In the High One's hall I thus heard the High One say, I counsel thee, stray singer, accept my counsels. They will be thy boon, if thou obeyest them. They will work thy will, if thou winnest them. Rise never at night time, except thou art spying, or seekest a spot without. I counsel thee, stray singer, accept my counsels. They will be thy boon, if thou obeyest them. They will work thy will, if thou winnest them. Thou shalt never sleep in the arms of a sorceress, lest she should lock thy limbs. So shall she charm that thou shalt not heed the counsel or words of the king, nor care for thy food or the joys of mankind, but fall into sorrowful sleep. I counsel thee, stray singer, accept my counsels. They will be thy boon if thou obeyest them. They will work thy will if thou winnest them. Seek not ever to draw to thyself in love, whispering another's wife. I counsel thee, stray singer, accept my counsels. They will be thy boon if thou obeyest them. They will work thy will if thou winnest them. Should thou long to fare over fell and firth, provide thee well with food. I counsel thee, stray singer, accept my counsels. They will be thy boon if thou obeyest them. They will work thy will if thou winnest them. Tell not ever an evil man if misfortunes thee befall from such ill friend. Thou needest never seek return for thy trustful mind. Wounded to death, have I seen a man by the words of an evil woman. A lying tongue had befet him of life, and all without reason of right. I counsel thee, stray singer, accept my counsels. They will be thy boon if thou obeyest them. They will work thy will if thou winnest them. Hast thou a friend whom thou trusted well? Fare thou to find him oft, for with brushwood grows, and with grasses high, the path where no foot doth pass. I counsel thee, stray singer, accept my counsels. They will be thy boon if thou obeyest them. They will work thy will if thou winnest them. In sweet converse, call the righteous to thy side. Learn a healing song while thou livest. I counsel thee, stray singer, accept my counsels. They will be thy boon if thou obeyest them. They will work thy will if thou winnest them. Be never the first with friend of thine to break the bond of fellowship. Care shall gnaw thy heart if thou canst not tell all thy mind to another. I counsel thee, stray singer, accept my counsels. They will be thy boon if thou obeyest them. They will work thy will if thou winnest them. Never in speech with a foolish knave shouldest thou waste a single word. From the lips of such thou needest not look for reward of thine own good will, but a righteous man by praise will render thee firm in favour and love. There is mingling in friendship when man can utter all his whole mind to another. There is naught so vile as a fickle tongue. No friend is he who but flatters. I counsel thee, stray singer, accept my counsels. They will be thy boon if thou obeyest them. They will work thy will if thou winnest them. Oft the worse lays the best one low. I counsel thee, stray singer, accept my counsels. They'll be thy boon if thou obeyest them. They'll work thy will if thou winnest them. Be not a shoemaker, nor yet a shaft maker. Save for thyself alone. Let the shoe be misshapen or crooked. The staff and a curse on thy head will be called. I counsel thee, stray singer, accept my counsels. They will be thy boon if thou obeyest them. They will work thy will if thou winnest them. When in peril thou seest thee, confess thee in peril, nor ever give peace to thy foes. I counsel thee, stray singer, accept my counsels. They will be thy boon if thou obeyest them. They will work thy will if thou winnest them. Rejoice not ever at tidings of ill, but glad let thy soul be in good. I counsel thee, stray singer, accept my counsels. They will be thy boon if thou obeyest them. They will work thy will if thou winnest them. Look not up in battle when men are as beasts. Let the waits bewitch thee with spells. I counsel thee, stray singer, accept my counsels. They will be thy boon if thou obeyest them. They will work thy will if thou winnest them. Wouldst thou win joy of a gentle maiden, and lure to whispering of love? Thou shalt make fair promise, and let it be fast. None will scorn their will who can win it. I counsel thee, stray singer, accept my counsels. They will be thy boon if thou obeyest them. They will work thy will if thou winnest them. I pray thee, be wary, yet not too wary. Be wariest of all with ale, with another's wife, and a third thing, eke, that knaves outwit thee never. I counsel thee, stray singer, accept my counsels. They will be thy boon if thou obeyest them. They will work thy will if thou winnest them. Hold not in scorn, nor mock in thy halls a guest or wandering wight. They know but unsurely who sit within, what manner of man is come. None is found so good, but some faults attend him, or so ill, but he serves for somewhat. I counsel thee, stray singer, accept my counsels. They will be thy boon if thou obeyest them. They will work thy will if thou winnest them. Growl not at guest, nor drive them from the gate, but show thyself gentle to the poor. I counsel thee, stray singer, accept my counsels. They will be thy boon if thou obeyest them. They will work thy will if thou winnest them. Hold never in scorn the hoary singer. Oft the counsel of the old is good. Come words of wisdom from withered lips of him, left to hang among hides, to rock with rennets, and swing with the skins. Mighty is the bar to be moved away. For the entering in of all, shower thy wealth, or men shall wish thee every ill in thy limbs. I counsel thee, stray singer, accept my counsels. They'll be thy boon, if thou obeyest them. They will work thy will, if thou winnest them. When ale thou quaffest, call upon earth's might. 'Tis earth drinks, in the floods, earth prevails, o'er drink. But fire o'er sickness, the oak o'er binding, the earcorn o'er witchcraft, the rye spur o'er rupture, the moon o'er rages, herb o'er cattle plagues, runes o'er harm. Chapter 7. Odin's guest after the runes. I trow, I hung on that windy tree 9 whole days and nights, stabbed with a spear offered to Odin, myself to mine own self given high on that tree, of which none hath heard, from what roots it rises to heaven. None refreshed me ever with food or drink. I peered right down in the deep, crying aloud. I lifted the runes, then back I fell from thence. 9 mighty songs I learned from the great son of Balethorn. Beslar sire, I drank a measure of the wondrous mead. With the soul stirrer's drops, I was showered. Ere long, I bear fruit, and through full well I grew and waxed in wisdom word. Following word, I found me words. Deed, following deed, I wrought deeds. Hidden runes shalt thou seek, and interpreted signs, many symbols of might and power, by the great singer painted, by the high powers, fashioned, graved, by the utterer of gods. For gods graved Odin, for elves graved Dane Dwavlin, the Dahlia, for dwarves all wise, for Yotus, and I of myself, graved some for the sons of men. Dost know how to write? Dost know how to read? Dost know how to paint? Dost know how to prove? Dost know how to ask? Dost know how to offer? Dost know how to send? Dost know how to spend? Better ask for too little than offer too much. Like the gifts should be the boon, better not to send than to overspend. Thus Odin graved ere the world began, then he rose from the deep and came again. Chapter 8. The Song of Spells. These songs I know, which nor sons of men, nor queen in a king's court knows. The first is help, which will bring thee help in all woes, and in sorrows and strife. A second I know, which the Son of Men must sing, who would heal the sick. A third I know, if sore need should come of a spell to stay my foes, when I sing that song which shall blunt their swords, nor their weapons nor staves can wound. A fourth I know, if man makes fast in chains the joint of my limbs, when I sing that song which shall set me free, spring the fetters from hands and feet. A fifth I know, when I see by foes shot, speeding a shaft through the host, flies it never so strongly, I still can stay it, if I get but a glimpse of its flight. A sixth I know, when some fain would harm me, in runes on a moist tree's roots, on his head alone shall light the ills of the curse that he called upon mine. A seventh I know, if I see a hall high o'er the bench mate's blazing flame, it near so fiercely, I still can save it. I know how to sing that song. An eighth I know, which all can sing for their will, if they learn it well, where hate shall wax mid the warriors' sons, I can calm it soon with that song. A ninth I know, when need befalls me to save my vessel afloat, I hash the wind on the stormy wave and soothe all the sea to rest. A tenth I know, when at night the witches ride and sport in the air, such spells I weave that they wander home out of skins and wits bewildered. An 11th I know, if haply I lead my old comrades out to war, I sing 'neath the shields, and they fare forth mightily safe into battle, safe out of battle, and safe return from the strife. A 12th I know, if I see in a tree a corpse, from halter hanging, such spells I write and paint in runes, that the being descends and speaks. A 13th I know, if the newborn son of a warrior I sprinkle with water, that youth will not fail when he fares to war. Never slain shall he bow before swords. A 14th I know, if I needs must number the powers to the people of men, I know all the nature of gods and of elves, which none can know untaught. A 15th I know, which Folkstirrer sang, the dwarf at the gates of dawn, he sang, strength to the gods, and skill to the elves, and wisdom to Odin who utters. A 16th I know, when all sweetness and love I would win from some artful wench, her heart I turn, and whole mind change of that fair armed lady I love. A 17th I know, so that e'en the shy maiden is slow to shun my love. These songs, stray singer, which man's sons knows not, long shalt thou lack in life though thy will if thou winnest them, thy boon if thou obeyest them, thy good if happily thou gains them. An 18th I know, which I ne'er shall tell to maiden or wife of man, save alone to my sister, or haply to her who folds me fast in her arms. Most safe are secrets known to but one, the songs are sung to an end. Now the sayings of the High One are uttered in the hall for the will of men, for the woe of Jotun. Hail thou who hast spoken, hail thou that knowest, hail ye that have hearkened use, thou who hast learned.